Welcome to the Backpacking and Blisters podcast. With me today is a guest host, Rob Pelton, a man with an expansive bucket list. Mine is just a little pale in comparison.
It's not the size of the bucket that counts. It's how you use it.
You were ready to go with your response. You didn't even get my pun, did you? You didn't even catch that I said a little pale in comparison. Pale.
Why? Bucket. Because I'm tan in the middle of winter?
You still don't get it, or you're ignoring it. One of the two. So this is kind of okay. So we've got this episode out day after Christmas. This is kind of like a Christmas miracle, kind of, because I was supposed to record with Derek this week. He canceled within the hour of us recording, and I'm just gonna reach out to one person, one man, Mr. Rob Pelton, and within, I don't know, like 30 minutes, you're like, sure, we can record tonight.
Yeah, with me being so busy and as popular as I am, I carved out this time just for you, because when Carl calls, asking for an upgrade in a host, I have to come running. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. It's not really a miracle. I don't want to throw that word around like willy-nilly, but it's pretty awesome because I wasn't sure we're going to get an episode out this week, and we are, and it's extra special because, like, people are fans when you're guest hosting. I don't know if you're quite up to Derek's level yet in terms of popularity, but if not, you're close, man. You're getting there.
Well, he's got longevity on me. He's been on the podcast like one or two more times than I have, so that stands to reason.
One or two,
So,
yeah. Well, you're working your way. You're cutting into the deficit there, right?
Right. Well, I like it. I like the feedback that I've gotten on this podcast. You got a really good, following, really good engagement, and and you kind of get into nitty-gritties on some things, and that's what I really enjoy. You're not afraid to kind of dig a little bit, so
no,
I appreciate that. It doesn't always have to be the formal, polite, nice guy thing, because, quite frankly, that's a little boring. So
no. And speaking of that, last time you were on, you shared a story about how you left your car at the trailhead. You had your car, locked up, doors closed, windows up, and you said that some mice had gotten in the car.
Some or one. Yes.
Okay. Well, either way, I kind of, like, in a roundabout way, sort of called you a liar. I was like, are you sure you didn't leave the windows down? Like, I didn't leave the windows down. We got a ton of feedback, like a lot of feedback after I called you out.
It's a thing.
It
right?
is. A lot of people had that issue. And I've been at a lot of trailheads and I have not had that issue. And so I would like to, apologize for casting doubt on your story, and B, I guess still say that I still have 10% doubt that happened, because I don't.
Well, that's very big of you to at least somewhat backhandedly apologize for it. But in more research that I've been doing about what happened, I kind of dug into it. I found a little bit of evidence, and I followed that evidence back to its source, and it turns out it's one mouse doing all of it.
In all the trailheads.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Dang it, that mouse. Yeah. We got some feedback about, I don't know. Derek actually mentioned leaving, like, just wipes in the vehicle, because, like, when you get back from the trail, you want to, like, wipe off your legs or whatever, wipe down a little bit before you get back in the car. Mm-hmm. And somebody gave some pushback. They're like, are you sure you want to leave wipes in the car? Because bears get into that. And so I'm curious your reaction to that, because this guy he's like a very well-known, like, going around the Sierras. That's his homeland. And so his perspective, like, he is correct. Around the Sierras, like, that is a real issue. But as far as I know, that's the only place where that's the real issue, where you can't leave wipes in the vehicle. What do you think about that?
I've heard that depending on where you are, I guess Sierras, anything scented could lure, something to your vehicle, to your tent, right, whatever. I mean, even like your toothbrush that has a little bit of toothpaste residue on it, your chapstick, hand sanitizer, especially if it's like scented, like these, seemingly harmless things could bring something, not necessarily out of hunger, but out of curiosity. And next thing you know, you have a conflict and a confrontation, right? So
it could, but you can say that about anything. Like, that could happen literally anywhere. I'm wondering, like, do you have experience with that in the areas you go? Are bears climbing in?
No, and where I've been, it's pretty tame. A lot of black bears around here, and they can be a little bit of a nuisance here and there. But we do a pretty good job up in Minnesota to curb a lot of that behavior. Okay. Meaning not leaving food out, not feeding them, which is the biggest thing, because they say a fed bear is a dead bear, and you don't want that, right?
Right.
But if you're gonna have something in your car anyway, go ahead and bring, a Tupperware or a beer canister and just store that inside your car. It can't hurt, and it doesn't weigh anything if it stays in your car, right?
Okay.
And having wipes, I agree with the wipes, because a lot of times when I'm done with a hike and I'm going to drive 2-3 hours home, I like to take a complete bath with wipes and then put on fresh clothes and then just go home.
Right. All right. Fair enough. My takeaway from what you just said was basically Minnesotans are elite backpackers, and so you don't have that problem because people are just more careful and responsible in Minnesota.
That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Well
all right.
put.
Thank you. Other order of business I have before we jump into today's topic. One of my buddies, speaking of Tupperware Mike, bought something off of you. I don't know if you connected the dots here, but he bought something. I think you had posted on Facebook for sale and you sent it to him. It was it was like the Outdoor Vitals.
Oh, yes.
What was it? They're like one of their jacket things. I don't know.
So Outdoor Vitals, they're making a lot of waves in outdoor apparel,
Yeah.
they're doing a lot of good things. I bought one of their mid-layer hoodies. It's called the Ventus.
Yeah, that's what it was, the Ventus.
Yeah, right. The Ventus. I ordered it, in my size, got it on. It turned out to be a skin suit. Didn't like it. Returned it, got an extra large, and it was still really, really tight.
Okay.
Once you got it on, it was fine. But getting it on was a whole
effort.
Wacky, wavy arm, label in front of a dealership guy.
Maybe take the backpack off first.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But I ended up not wearing it, and it just sat in my closet, and I'm like, I should probably sell this. And then, he hopped on and was like, hey, I know Carl. And I was like, I'm going to need to see some ID to verify your bank account, sir.
But yeah. He texted me a picture of the package you sent. This is the most interesting part of the story. You sent a package with your face on it. Yeah, some sort of like label printing with your face. I don't know if it's one of your stickers or what.
Yeah. So I got 5,000 stickers. So when I send things out, I just throw a sticker on the box.
Okay.
I throw stickers in the box.
So you got like your bags. We've covered the bag love that you have. Kids. And then you got your stickers, and now you're putting your face on packages.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because when you see my face, there's good stuff coming. That's how
okay. It's not
a party until I show up.
All right. It's not a narcissistic thing at all.
No.
Okay. All right. We should get to it, but real quick, towards the end of the episode, you haven't shared this with me, but you got some sort of announcement either for your YouTube channel or for life or for something, and we got that for the end. So you got some special announcement coming, right?
Yeah, there will be a special announcement, a first time announcing to the public here on your podcast.
Yes.
That is a YouTube thing and a life thing. So we'll get to it.
All right. Wait, are you asking me to join your YouTube channel? Okay, I shouldn't predict. I'll stop. We've had you on the podcast. At some point, you're going to ask me to just, put out videos for you when you can't make it. I'm fine with that, Rob. Just,
We can do that.
Okay. All right. So we've got, I think we're going to get 6. Might get more, might get less. Depends on how much crossover we have. But 6 reasons your bucket list trips will fail. This sounds super negative, but hopefully we can come up with some solutions to overcome these specific issues.
Okay.
And let's just get into it. Are you a bucket list guy? Do you have a bucket list? Are you mindful of places that you want to go that you haven't been to? Is it abstract? Is it specific? Where are you at?
Well, it's always kind of abstract until it actually, until you actually buy a ticket, right? Yes, there are places that I want to go to, and that list keeps expanding the more I find out about things. And I've gone to some of my bucket places, and there's still more to come. But yeah, I want to see all the things. I want to see everything. As much of this big, beautiful world as I can. There's a lot of it out there, but we have things like jobs and stuff we got to do. Like, what is that about? You got bills you got to pay. Like, I just paid bills last month. You want me to pay them again next month? And that requires work, which means you can't be on trail or on an airplane or on a train as much as you would like.
I don't know, man. There's through hikers that figure it out. They're like, I just quit my job. I don't make any money, and I just hike year round. So
yeah, and that's great. And those people are usually younger,
right?
Where they can probably do that kind of thing. But I admire that lifestyle because it's not easy to maintain that because you got to go pretty bare minimum in life. So
I think they asked the question like, doesn't everybody else have a trust fund?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. Am I the only one? Yeah.
Or they're older. They're also the older, and so I hope to be one of the older people eventually. But
Yeah, they just retire and they're just like,
yeah,
you know what, the kids are fine, and I'm
right.
just gonna go wander the earth.
What's your number? Like, what's towards the top of your bucket list right now?
Top of my bucket list right now is I really want to go to Scotland. I've been talking about it for the last couple of years. I
Okay.
want to get over there across the pond. I want to hike the West Highland Way there.
All right.
I don't know if you know what that is.
I've heard of it.
But it's a trail in Scotland.
I've been to Scotland, but I haven't done
It's
much.
100 miles. And the cool part about Scotland, it's a right to camp country, so you can literally camp anywhere as long as you're, beyond so much distance, from houses and things like that. The trail goes through a town every day, so you can stop and have a pint and have your lunch, and then you can just go and just walk 100 miles to Scotland.
And for you, that's like an overnighter, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe 2, depending on how much I had to drink at the pub.
Okay. All right. Yeah. For me, I'm trying to get to Alaska, but I'm a little bit more high maintenance because I want to go with my buddies, and so to try to my issue is just kind of lining up the dates, and so I think right now we're shooting for a couple years out. But
yeah, get it on the list. You got to move it from the 1-day list to the actual list.
I know, but I got pretty aggressive with this a few years ago, where I was like, all right, there's a lot of places I want to go to. I got to start knocking these things off. And I have, like, going to Glacier National Park, Wind River Range, and so on and so forth. So I've actually making a move on the list, but I don't think a lot of people are. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from folks specifically that have joined Patreon or that are considering joining Patreon that kind of goes to the reasons why people aren't able to knock their stuff off. And I know some people are, but some people really, I mean, they're not, like, I don't even know if they can make a list because they have some of these issues here. So what's the number one reason, or what's one of your reasons that their bucket list trip could possibly fail? What do you got?
Well, once you get to the point where your bucket list trip is actually becoming a reality, right? And something you've been, working towards, whether it's your whole life or for the last couple of years, saving, planning, everything like that. For me, and I've actually experienced some of this, you want to be sure that you're physically able to do this trip. There's nothing worse than to do all this planning and have all this excitement and realize I can't even walk 10 feet up this hill.
Right.
Well, I'm supposed to be here for like a week. What am I supposed to do? Well, you got to train, you got to eat better, you got to get your body ready for, depending on what it is. Now, if your bucket list is to sit on the beach all day, you need less prep work. But
a little bit.
If you're gonna, hike to Everest Base Camp or something like that, you might need to work out a little bit.
See, I had a similar one, but mine was more not that people aren't preparing physically. People are waiting too long and they're getting old and they can't do what they used to do.
Right.
And that's my fear.
That's why life is backwards. What do I mean by that? So when we're young, we're the most physically capable we're ever going to be. We can take over the world. We can fall off a cliff and get up and go to work the next day. Right. But we're limited because we can't go anywhere. We can't afford anything. We got to work in these years. Now you're older, you're retired, you got all the resources in the world. You can do anything.
Right.
But your body says, no, sir. Yeah, we're not doing that because your knees are going to explode into a billion pieces.
Right.
So you should start rich and then become slowly broke and then get a job when you're old.
Yes. Theoretically that would work. I think the bigger issue is you're also young and you have something to prove and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And there's this sense that you need to earn things, right? Whether it's earn the money to pay for them or earn the time off to do them. And when you're, getting out of high school and you haven't done anything yet in terms of work, you're like, okay, now I'm going to go, I did high school. Now I'm going to go adventuring. It just doesn't, I know some people do that, but it just doesn't seem to fit with how, our structure is.
Yeah, so I can see that because you want to feel like you've earned it. Because if you didn't earn it, you may not appreciate it as much, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there's your.
I appreciate it so much more now, but I think that there's going to be an increasing issue where people might legit be able to plan their bucket list trips, but we're having an influx of backpackers, mainly because of guys like you, YouTubers who are just inspiring people to get out there. Thanks a lot. And so now there's increasing crowds. There's plenty of wilderness out there, but there's not additional national park availability. There's actually they're limiting that specifically with backcountry permits. So there's places that aren't monitoring it, but for the best places around, you've got to get a permit. And when you have an increased number of people applying for the permits and either the same number of permits available or less, because they're trying to reduce impact on the wilderness, then you're less likely to get the permits. And so I think that, so you got to be the kind of person who is on top of things and applying as early as possible. Sometimes, it's literally, they open it at, whatever it is, 8 a.m. Mountain Time. You got to be on there 7:55 rearing to go.
Right. Exactly. And yes, influencers, I'm not saying I'm an influencer, has some impact on the increasing volume at these places. The places where you used to be able to go to get away from people are becoming less likely.
Right.
But I blame more Instagram and TikTok, because a lot of people aren't out there for the experience. They want to get the pic for the gram, right? And then in getting there, they're taking up spaces, but that's not to say I'm a snob and, these are my woods and this is my park. I need you out of here. Right. No, I love the fact that people are actually discovering the outdoors, because it's been out there the whole time, right? But you have to treat it responsibly while you're out there, and you do have to respect the other people that are out there as well, because they're on their trips as well, you're on your trips as well, and sometimes there has to be a compromise. Right. Just when I'm out there, just don't be out there.
Easy.
Is that critical?
Problem solved. Yeah.
That way no one can see me struggle while I'm trying to hike uphill.
There is another solution that I got a controversial solution for you that I don't know anything about, and I literally just heard about this today. So I was talking to a buddy at work, and he was saying that this is becoming a thing. You can tell me if you've heard of this, but people that are applying for permits, whether it's like for camping permits or for backpacking permits or whatever, that are very highly sought after, people are starting to hire specifically Canadians to hack into the system, because apparently it's a very easy system to hack into, to be sort of like first in line and to get their name in there so they get the permit that they want to get. He knows somebody specifically does this for like some RV site in Florida, but he says that this is the thing. I just heard about it today. What are your thoughts on that?
There's a population of Canadian hackers. Let's start with that.
Because maybe they don't get in trouble, I guess, because they're out of country, so they're not going to get prosecuted.
Well, I mean, out of all the things you can do as a hacker,
it's easy. Apparently, it's super easy. And
I get that, but it seems like low risk, low reward. I guess.
He was saying it was like $50. So if you have enough of a clientele, you get a couple hundred people doing that every week. That adds up, man.
Well, there is value. I mean, someone does value that. Otherwise, something like that wouldn't even be out there, right? So, is it a way to play the game? Is that within the rules of the game?
No, it's not. It's breaking the rules. It's breaking the law.
I don't think so. I'm
just telling you I heard it. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm just saying it's a thing.
Yeah, that surprised me that that's the thing, and I think that there's better things to do with your time. If you're going to hack, raise my credit score. Don't worry about the campsite. You know what I mean? Like, get in there and move some decimals.
I'll reach out to the hackers and let them know that. But if you want to hack into the permit system, we've got a link down below in the show description. Just kidding.
Right, but Canada, don't they have like didn't they just get internet up there? Like, how do they have enough computing power? Like, how? Right, I love you, Canucks. Don't come down here and say sorry to me.
Yeah, well, Canada's starting to have an influence in the United States. Like, we went to Canada and we were grossed out by their ketchup chips, and then somebody just texted me like a couple weeks ago, we got ketchup chips now in the United States. So
I don't know what that is.
It's just ketchup flavored chips, man, like Doritos, Lay's.
Oh, I thought you said ketchup chips. Like, I'm thinking of a boat.
You got to listen to our podcast more. You got to do your homework, because we've been talking about this.
Yeah, ketchup chips. Yeah, I do know of ketchup chips. But I will say, those who actually know me, I hate ketchup.
Yeah, well,
I hate mustard. I hate mayonnaise. I hate pickles.
Then you're not Canadian. So
I'm weird. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not Canadian. But the Canadians out there, if you are watching, Justin, Maddie.
Yeah, nice. Problem solved there. No offensiveness. Yeah. All right. So there we go. So you said get in shape. I said permits. What's your number 2 reason why your bucket list trip's going to fail?
Know who you're going with. You don't want to go on a bucket list trip. I imagine it's going to be with either friends or a family member. But if it's going to be like a hiking trip, because you're backpacking trip like we do, it's hopefully going to be with someone you have gone on trips before, or maybe there's someone new. But know each other. Mm-hmm. What are your hiking styles like? If things happen, where are responsibilities going to fall? Are you okay if someone hikes ahead? Are you okay if someone takes a lot of breaks? Are you okay if A, B, and C happen? What are we going to do? Now, are you someone on trail I can actually stand? Or are you just
Probably
completely
not.
annoying the whole time? You were
Yes.
super cool when I talked to you all the time at home, but on trail, man, don't walk too close to the cliff, bro, because you know what I mean? So know who you're going with, because a mediocre trip can turn phenomenal with the right crew.
Okay.
And I've been on some epic trips because of the people I was with.
So
know
you're
who
saying on trail, the issue is that you might have invited somebody who's like a trip saboteur who's going to spoil your experience.
Well, unknowingly, unwittingly, and I don't think
Right.
there's any malice involved. It's just, you know, maybe something happens and you have very different views on something.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to hash a lot of these things out before you go.
No, we've had plenty of trip saboteurs, like a lot over the years, and it took us a long time to figure out who the crew was, and we're still learning, man. We're still trying to invite the right people along, and we're still making mistakes. And
so, do the trip saboteurs know who they are?
Like, did we say, FYI, you're a trip saboteur? How would you do that? You don't invite them anymore. Would you go back and be like, hey, just so you know, we're not inviting you anymore because you sabotaged too many trips?
No, you just be very passive aggressive.
I'm not passive. I'm straight up, man. I'm just like, hey, I'm pretty straightforward.
It's not you, it's me.
No, we just, like, I don't know. I'll tell you the worst sabotage trip ever, where I don't think I needed to say anything, was I was back in college and I planned this trip for a bunch of dudes we had in our Bible study, and we were going to Yosemite, and it was March, which was early for Yosemite. It wasn't strangely snowing, it was raining, but I was like, yeah, it's outside. We're gonna get some rain. We're gonna be okay. Let's everybody calm down. But we had one guy who was freaking out about it as we're driving up there. And so we started in Orange County. We got, I think, an hour into the drive to Los Angeles, and this dude convinced everybody that there was too much rain. Let's turn around. We didn't even get like halfway to our destination. He sabotaged a trip that I spent a lot of time planning, getting gear for everybody, took him shopping, and he got everybody to turn around. He didn't get invited again.
Yeah. I've seen so many trips that were promising rain, and I go anyway, and it turns out to be beautiful out.
100%, man. 100%.
Happens all the time.
All the time. Especially Minnesota.
Wow, he commanded that much authority to sabotage your trip.
Yeah.
Man.
So, super nice guy, though, and happy to be friends with him, just not going to backpack with him. So.
Fair enough. That's fair.
All right, so that was your number 2. Okay, so I kind of alluded to this in the intro here, but I think that one of the biggest issues, and what I've seen, is people have a deep down fear of going new places. They have these dreams like, oh, it'd be great to go to places like Scotland or Alaska. I'll get there eventually. But when it gets down to it, it's very overwhelming to be like, I don't know anything about those places. I don't even know how flights work or how close I can get to the trailhead. If I come to the airport, do I need to rent a car? You know, how does that work driving on the other side of the road? There's just a lot of these variables, and it freaks people out. Can I go with somebody? If I go with a guided group, that's going to be super expensive. So it's kind of this, like, you know, paralysis by analysis, and they just don't end up going, and they don't take the step out, and they just don't go new places. And so what would you say to this person? How do you get somebody off the couch to stop being afraid? Like, they're going to their local places, they've always gone there, and they're not changing. What do you do?
Well, you know, if they're happy going to the same places, that's fine. I would never shame anyone for doing it.
For sure.
But for those who actually sit down and realize, man, I don't like the unknown. Well, your whole life is unknown. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay. Right. The best part for me is to learn those things. You dive in and you learn how to swim.
It's fun.
Right. For the most part. And most places, you know, around the world, especially, you know, they're willing to help. Like, there's some scammers out there depending on where you are. But in the right communities, you know, there's people out there that can help you. You know, I went to Iceland, you know, and we had
Did you?
Well, yeah. Okay. And they only had manual transmission, stick shifts, right?
I love it, man.
I was like, hey, I can drive stick, which means I got a front seat the whole time, right? But I wasn't afraid to go there and learn that, right?
But you're somebody who's, you know, but you're speaking to, like, you're the choir on this one, right?
Yeah, well then they need someone in their life that's gonna take them there.
Correct.
Maybe
Correct.
someone like a Carl, maybe someone like a Rob. Like, hey, bro, we're going. All right,
Yeah.
the ticket's bought. All right,
Right.
everything we have, we everything we need we have. Now the last thing is to know is I got you.
Right.
Okay, I got you. Don't worry about it. Let's just go. Keep an open mind and let's just have at it. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, we go home. Best case scenario, you didn't realize how big of a world out there is and how amazing it is.
Right.
And you will never know until you walk out that front door.
For sure.
Easier said than done.
It is. But for me, I mean, to be honest, that's half the people that we have on our Patreon trips are people that just haven't accessed some of these areas. They're excited to go, and they're excited that it's already structured for them. It costs them to travel, but it's not costing them like a guided trip. It's not a guided trip. It's like, semi-guided, just structured for them. Yeah. But I mean, you're still limited. Like, we're not doing a ton of Patreon trips. So they're still kind of limited with that, but trying to find somebody, Facebook groups, clubs, whatever. There's plenty of options out there. You can find something if you do the research. I get that it's scary to go by yourself. It's scary to branch out, especially if you're the trip leader. You're like, I don't know. I don't want to be in charge of people going to Scotland. I don't like, what if I've got to drive stick and I don't know how to drive stick, whatever it is. So kind of going to these intermediaries, I think, is a solution for this.
Yeah, I think so. Meetup groups are huge. There's a lot of them around here. And these Facebook groups, I mean, it used to be Reddit, it's more Facebook groups now. Right. There's such a wealth of information out there and people who are willing to put, trips together.
Right.
But then you just have to make sure you're not one of those saboteurs, right?
You have to make sure you're not one of them, correct?
Yeah, exactly. But I have, countless friends who see everything I do. Hey, I'd love to go. And then I throw out the invite. Oh, well, I can't do it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Backpacking is like a super big flake sport. Super big.
Yeah. And it is what it is. And now I've learned that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And
it's still frustrating. We had a couple years ago under the Tetons, it was one of our Patreon trips. We had 10 cancellations and that.
Wow.
Yeah. We ended up having just, 3 dudes go and we had a blast. So it was totally worth it, but definitely the 10 cancellations were a little frustrating for sure. But
right. So you need a big name to go with you to draw people out there.
We'll get to that, Rob, because I got that come up in trivia as part of our discussion for sure.
There you go. All right.
But
love it.
All right. So I got 2, you got 2. What's your last one? Last reason.
Don't be scared of change. You'll have an itinerary.
Okay.
And keep that itinerary loose. Don't have it so rigid that there's no room for error, because there will be error. Things will change, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Having a loose idea of what you're gonna do is fine, but if you need to go right when you plan on going left, you have to be okay with that, because you can't control everything, right? You can point yourself in the right direction, and a lot of times if you end up turning right instead of left, a lot of times that's a lot of fun over there.
It is.
But then again, that's the unknown. So leave yourself some room and some time in your itinerary, because things can and most likely will change.
Yeah, I think that's a big one for sure. And so some of the best trips I've been on have had unexpected things happen where it kind of like a forced change kind of thing. Part of it, though, is you want to have somebody, either you or somebody in your group, that can handle the change and can plan on the fly. So somebody who's like, okay, well, we can't do plan A right now, so we got options B and C. If you're like, because there's a lot of folks out there that are like, okay, we can't do plan A right now. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm stuck, right? I'm freezing up. And if you don't have that person who's like, okay, well, let's look at our options, then that's a disaster.
Yeah, and it's okay to have a plan B and plan C. Right. You should. Actually,
it can be on the spot. Like, okay, we can't do plan A. We didn't have a plan B or C, but now we got to make one, right?
Yep, and then act like you had it the whole time.
That's right. Act like that was part of the plan for sure.
That's right.
Okay. You hit a couple that were on my list. So I'm going to do, let's see. I had unreliable fellow adventurers. I had putting it off. You get too old and, you're waiting for somebody else to make it happen. But I think the number one reason for a lot of folks boils down to cost. I think that's the issue. And I don't know that there's a great solution for this other than, aside from saving your pennies, you can do your research to find budget ways to travel anywhere, whether that's everything from couch surfing to sharing rental cars to taking buses to,
Hostels.
yeah, all that stuff for sure. Sometimes, going far away places is just going to cost a lot of money. The plane ticket itself might be, the killer right there. So yeah, I don't know that there's a great solution for cost. You can do your research on that, but sharing costs, going with a group to kind of split some of the things you can split would be what I always try to do.
Right. I do find, I've traveled, quite a bit out of the country, and the biggest cost is that plane ticket. That's usually the number one cost. Because if you go to somewhere like a Peru or a Nepal, something like that, once you get there, it is cheap.
Right.
Cheap, cheap, cheap. And what's funny about it is that since you're American, it's expensive to you as American, but it's still cheap for us as an American. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you're getting charged tourist prices. But even those tourist prices are so low.
They are low.
And once you get there, yeah, I mean, the costs go way, way down. But you do have to pony up, for that plane ticket.
Have you been to Peru and Nepal?
Yeah, I have.
Wow. Okay. I've been to Nepal, not Peru, but yeah. So another story, another time. I
gotta get to Everest Base Camp. That's still on my list. So I've got everything else over there.
Got to go back, basically.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So we got 6 reasons your bucket list trips will fail. Hopefully, we had some solutions for you to consider. Maybe some inspiration in there as well. Get to it. Get that adventure on. So we've got. Before we jump to our next segment, I caught up. Okay, I caught up with a guy who is selling like a drink mix, like a nutritional product. And I literally just like ran into him and just thought he had an interesting product. And so I invited him onto the podcast. And I recorded this a little while ago, and I've been meaning to put this on the show. So here we go. This is a product called Runway, RNWY. And this is Dan Karen, the co-founder. Here we go. With me today is Dan Karen, co-founder of Runway, a man who's not ashamed to sport a bushy mustache. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going good, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, quick backstory. So I was at one of my daughter's running events. She's in cross country, and she was in the middle of Denver doing a running race, and we're walking around waiting for the race to start. And I saw you with the booth set up, pitching your product, Runway. And I heard your spiel. I tried your product. I liked it. And I thought, you know what? This would be a good guy to have on the show. And so here we are. Thank you for joining us. And I got some kind of heavy hitting questions for you. Ready for this?
I think so. I hope so. Hit me, Carl.
I gave you the questions ahead of time, so you have to be ready.
I know. I didn't want to blow my cover.
No. That's part of the deal. So anyway, so I've been going to, I know that you go to some trade shows as well, or you're planning to, and I've been to the Outdoor Retailer Show the last few years. And I've noticed a trend where there's usually 2 to 3 new supplements or drink mixes or companies. I don't want to like say similar to yours because I'm sure everybody's got their own angle or whatever. But to me, the consumer, it just seems like some similar stuff going on. So, why did you decide to join this heavily competitive market, and what makes Runway different?
Good question. So what you said, it's competitive market and a lot of people doing the same thing, is exactly why we decided to start Runway and really serve the running community.
Okay.
What we saw was there's a lot of in-race products, meaning goos, gels, sugars. What we didn't see was the holistic approach to running, meaning there's things that go wrong. There's immunity, there's multivitamins, there's joint support, there's electrolytes, there's a whole bunch of things that go into running, and we didn't see anyone creating this closed ecosystem. My previous job, I worked at Vital Proteins for 6 years, leading collagen company, and I watched a lot of their competitors turn one SKU into 5, one product into like 5 different products. And what I mean by that is, growing up for me, a pre-workout had everything in it. It had stimulants, it had BCAAs, it had nitric oxide boosters for a pump. Maybe there was a non-stim package. Now, all of that is 5 different products. That's $200. That's it really upset me to the core. So then as we think, how are we going to serve runners, we came up with this idea. We say it internally. We haven't formed a story around it, but pantry optimization. And what I mean by that is you open up your pantry and you probably have a collagen product. You probably have an electrolyte product. You probably have D3 or a multivitamin or a B complex. Maybe you got emergency for when you travel, or some apple cider vinegar or some immune boosting product. Well, why not make a super product? Why not combine as much as we possibly could into a world-class product, get rid of waste, and I'm going to not go full hippie on you, but get rid of waste and save the consumer money.
Okay.
So
just one of your issues sounds like one of your issues initially was like the concept of just the price gouging, right? Where you're having companies kind of portion out these different things, and you had consumer anger at the price gouging nature of things. Out of curiosity, did you ever reach out to any of these companies and say like, okay, why is all this costing so much all of a sudden?
No, okay. I never did.
That's my job. I'm going to do that. I'll do that for you.
Yeah, do it. Find out, why are you taking one product and making a million?
Yeah. And it's not just nutrition. There's a lot of areas that we have actually an episode coming up where we're going to ask about some price gouging stuff. So anyway, you strike a chord. Sorry, I got you off track there. All right. So it's kind of the one-stop shop where you have everything packed into one product, correct?
Yeah. And that's just our first product foundation. We launched September 6th of this year. We're super new. We do have other products in the pipeline that are going to follow the same format of what we call multi-benefit approach, where it's not just collagen for hair, skin, nails, joints. There is also, I'm talking about foundation. There's also electrolytes in there. There's also 2 grams of L-carnitine, which is, I'm not going to go too crazy, but there's an Easter egg in using L-carnitine as a running company, because Olympians and certain brands' athletes were taking IVs of L-carnitine and they crushed the Olympics. Okay. And then they all got in trouble for doing it illegally. We're doing it legally. So
wait. Okay. So it's illegal to do it in the Olympics, but it's legal to do it in the States.
It's illegal to do IVs of it.
Okay, but it's legal to drink
2 grams. Yeah, it's an amino acid. We use 2 grams clinical dose. In the past, they were doing liters of it.
Oh.
And that's when WADA got involved. So yeah, it's trying to be as connected to the runners as possible. And you didn't ask, but we also did our brand photo shoot in Portland, pretty iconic for runners. We really want to serve the community.
Well, okay, I'm curious about what you were just talking about with the amino acid, though. So when you say crush it, are you saying they crush it because they had high energy? It was increasing explosiveness, increasing endurance, increasing, muscle repair. What was the advantage of that?
So we have a PhD on retainer that helps educate with this. So understand, I'm not a PhD. I'm going to give you layman's. Okay. L-carnitine helps burn fat for fuel. It helps kind of optimize your energy.
All right.
And I guess at these high levels, these athletes were able to train harder, more frequently, and just, I guess, perform at a higher level. We spoke to one of these athletes. I won't say his name. It's a him. And he was one of these athletes. And when he saw L-carnitine, he's like, whoa, I love that stuff. And he did ask, what was like, what's the feeling? And he, quote, I felt like Superman.
Okay.
And that's like the most we got out of this gentleman. But
yeah, I don't think I've ever felt like Superman before. I don't know what that feels like, but I would like that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not illegal, I guess. That's my thing.
No, it is not illegal. Not at all. Third party tested. We have white papers on the 2 gram clinical dose. Okay. Yeah. No, we're playing by the rules.
All right. Okay. You kind of answered my next question, but I think there's probably more, you can share more about some of the ingredient differences and stuff. But I think a lot of people like me, we stick to 2 main types of drink mixes. So you've got like the cheap lemonade drink mix from the store where, it's just, you're using it to kind of flavor your water after a long day hiking or backpacking. And it's just helping you to kind of down the water. And I'm sure there's electrolytes in there along with whatever chemicals they have. And then you've got like the latest, greatest, big in the endurance community, big in, backpacking running is Element, which is just like, hyper sodium and, electrolyte focused. So first part of the question is like, what would you say to a guy like me who's generally satisfied with these? And then what would you say to a guy like my co-host Derek, who's not here right now, who's old and is just generally resistant to change? What would be your company, response to that?
For initial response is wonderful.
Okay.
You're already on the right path. We took, I don't know how much I could give here, but we really wanted to recreate that nostalgic flavor of lemon lime, said brand that we all know.
Right.
You're already drinking that flavor, which is wonderful. Element, I have it in my pantry as well.
Okay.
Maybe a competitor, maybe not, but I do believe in the product.
Okay.
You're already taking two components of Runway Foundation. You have the flavor profile and you have the electrolytes. We're not as heavy in sodium. Reason being, we added as much electrolytes as we could without sacrificing the flavor, and we don't want to be the salt drink. We'll let Element hold that down. And then what I would say is we also have tons of other benefits.
Right.
If you break down the product, there's immunity aspects from the D3, zinc, magnesium. For your partner who is aging, the collagen is great for joint support. We have 10 grams of collagen, and we're using specific bioactive collagen peptides called Tendaforte and Fortigel.
Okay.
So again, we have a PhD to explain molecules and this, that, and the third, but my understanding is these peptides are specifically formulated to support white tissue repair.
Okay.
More so than the market hair, skin, and nails.
Okay.
We believe it's more of the athlete's collagen.
Right.
And then also Runway Foundation is pretty much a multivitamin. Has a vitamin B complex, 3 different, 3, 6, 12. We also have vitamin C at 100 and I believe 20% daily value. And we also have vitamin D3 at 100% daily value.
Okay.
So
you're getting all of that and more. You're getting a lot more, like you said earlier on, bang for your buck, one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Loaded up.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. You're getting so much more benefits by taking Runway Foundation than you are a standalone product, or even combining them all. We're saving you $50 minimum.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good deal. Okay. So where can we find Runway? Like, are we online only? Website we should check out, or social media? What you got?
Yeah, right now we're strictly direct to consumer. You could find us on Amazon. You can find us on our website.
Okay.
If you're in Denver, Chicago, we're popping up in the field left and right.
Okay.
But those are the two places to find us right now: Amazon and our website. Hopefully next year you'll find us in specialty retailers like the Fleet Feets and the Runner's Roost of the world.
Right.
But right now we're really focused on the online business and getting in the field.
Okay. And you're also Dan the Founder on Instagram, correct?
Yeah, Dan the Founder on Instagram. Hit me up if you want to try a sample. Just DM me. Hey, I heard you on the Backpacking and Blisters podcast. Can I try a sample?
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I'll send it out to any one of your people that DMs Runway or Dan the Founder.
Okay.
We want everyone to try it.
All right. Good deal. Hey, Dan, thank you for your time, man. It was a pleasure meeting you up in Denver. And it's a pleasure checking out your new mustache in the meantime and hearing all the nutritional stuff that Runway's got. So we'll have all that stuff in our show description if you want to click on it. Again, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Gotcha. All right. So that was Dan. Just love that guy. Actually, I'm hoping I go on a run with him one day. He was talking about like how his product helps the running community. I think he forgot that he was on a backpacking podcast, but we do a lot of drink mix and nutritional supplements as part of, being on the trail. Are you a drink mix guy? Do you bring any sort of like nutritional stuff, Gatorade? What do you got?
I will bring electrolyte replacement drink mixes because, if you're, putting on some hard miles, I mean, you're sweating and you're losing a lot of sodium, a lot of electrolytes. That's where all that salt crust comes from, right?
Right.
And you need to replace that. Those are really important for your bodily functions, for like literally everything.
Wait, you gotta be specific. What are you bringing specifically? Electrolyte stuff.
Right now, I'm a big fan of Liquid IV and Element.
Okay.
And Element has some pretty groovy flavors, but it's something that's not super sugary, but it's a departure from just water.
It's not sugar. There's no sugar in it. It's just
right.
So,
exactly. But you still have that salt in there,
right?
And
a lot of salt.
It really, really helps. Especially magnesium. A lot of electrolyte drinks don't have magnesium, even though that's a very key electrolyte. For sure. So yeah, that's what you want. You want your sodium, you want your potassium, you want your magnesium.
So his has that stuff, and then he calls it like a multivitamin. It does have a lot of stuff. So, and he mentioned that if you want a sample, you can hit him up on Instagram. Dan, the founder, on Instagram, Runway RNWY. I'll have the link in the show description. But I've been trying it. It's a pretty mild flavor, so it's not offensive, and it truly has a lot of stuff in there. But like you, Rob, all I've been doing on trips so far is stuff like Element for sure. Yeah, I'm not a liquid IV guy. I don't like the taste of it, but I get the thought.
Well, it can be very, very strong. You can mix half a pack. It's fine. You don't have to have full bore. As long as you get as long as you finish a pack, throughout the course of the day. Yeah, it'll help. So yeah, Dan, if you got any of that stuff you want me to try,
he'll send you one. You just got to reach out to him. That being said, Element has a flavor. They've got like a chocolate flavor.
Yes.
I don't get it, man. I think that's disgusting.
That's weird. I haven't tried. I actually have it. I haven't tried it. But they got like a habanero mango or a chili mango. That's actually really good. It's like spicy, salty. It's strange, but it's actually
weird. I like all their stuff, just not chocolate.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, all right. So I got bucket list trivia for you coming up right after this. All right, Rob. So last time you were on, you actually won trivia, and your punishment for me was that I had to go on your deep winter Minnesota backpacking trip.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember saying that. And then it's been, I forget the last time you were on. I think it's been a couple months, but either way, I would like to label that as a fake trip invite, because just saying, oh yeah, at some point in the future, we're going to be going on this trip with no follow-up information about it whatsoever. That's not a real invite. That wasn't a real punishment. What you got?
I was afraid that you go running for the hills because it's a serious trip. Now, we do have one coming up in the beginning of February. Okay. I do have one coming up over New Year's Eve coming up.
Yeah, this is great notice. Great notice.
Yeah. So if you go ahead and make that would be fantastic. The only problem is it's going to be like 30 degrees, which is like summertime. We're going to open a pool.
It's hot.
We're going to get our shorts on.
Right.
Okay. So was that offer a little disingenuous? Probably, because no one with sound mind would say yes to that.
I would say yes. My issue is not the fear of the winter. I feel like I would be on point with dialing everything in from gear to clothing. Okay. It's more just getting away from the family for the time. That's my challenge. I have very limited options, and I'm starting to bring my son along as often as I can to kind of have the least amount of impact with the family is kind of my issue.
Understand. So let's go ahead and put it on the list, and then pretty soon that could advance.
Okay.
As life progresses.
The bucket list, you're saying. All right. Well, mine is more specific, because if you lose trivia, you only get 1 out of 3, 1 or none. So mine is, I'm not going to force you to go on one of my trips, but mine is that you have to at least try. Look at the calendar. Okay. I've got 3 trips this year. And so I'll tell you specifically where they're going to be. So I've got one coming up in April. We don't have the dates yet, but it's going to be mid to late April. Red River Gorge. That's going to be a Patreon trip.
Okay.
We've got a July trip in Desolation. At this point, we're planning on Desolation Wilderness in mid to late July. That's our not a Patreon trip. That's just our crew. And then I think August, September, our other Patreon trip is going to be in Northern California in the Trinity Alps area. So those are all places I have not been before. I haven't been to any of those. I guess I've been close to Desolation Wilderness, but I haven't actually backpacked there.
I've been to the Red River Gorge. It's awesome. It's a mini Grand Canyon. It's an awesome trip. Yep.
Well, I'm hoping you talk about bringing some folks along. I'm hoping we'll see who can get to go on that one. I have a feeling that one's going to be a bit of a circus, but
when I was there, it was an absolute circus.
Well, I just think that because we have a lot of folks that would go on that trip that don't live too far away from there, so it could be pretty large. But
Yep. It was this last year, so they do a trip there every year. But yeah, okay, all right.
So do you have a new punishment if you get 2 or 3 correct on this trivia?
Yes, and it's very, very simple, and this plays into my narcissism a little bit. On your next backpacking trip, because I imagine someone's going to probably video some of it, right? Every time someone does something correct or good, the only thing I need you to say is, yeah, that's how Rob Pelton does it. that's all you need to say. That's all you need to say.
Oh my gosh. I love that, man.
That way
you gotta film it and then say that live as it's happening, right? Or right after it happened. Okay. I would try to do that 2 to 3 times. Make a cool YouTube short that way for sure. All right. Well, let's see how this plays out. Here we go.
Okay.
Bucket list trivia number 1. There were 2 main stars in the movie that popularized the term bucket list. Name either of them.
Well, they're both 2 very iconic actors. One of them actually didn't get his first acting gig until he was 50 years old.
Sounds
and
like
he went on to win awards, and he did a lot of movies. And that particular gentleman was the name Morgan Freeman. Now, his counterpart in that movie, who was an icon in himself, made splashes when he debuted in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think it was his big hit, his first big hit, which was a great movie, by the way. But that is someone who could also be seen probably in the 90s on courtside at the Lakers game. That would be Jack Nicholson.
I didn't realize I had a movie buff in my midst here, so that is correct, my friend. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, I just Googled that.
That wasn't even like a good movie. I think I watched part of it. I was like, this is actually like really boring and terrible.
The Bucket List?
I didn't like it. Did you like it?
I liked it, but I'm a movie buff.
Okay. Just because you're a movie buff doesn't mean you have to like bad movies, though. Like that's just true. That's true. I think it struggled with boringness and not much of a storyline other than establishing the phrase bucket list, personally.
That's fair.
You're welcome to your opinion, but all right. I got to up my game here. That was too easy for you. Number 2. The most common items on Americans' bucket list includes all of the following except one of these. All right. You got to pick the one that's not on a typical bucket list. A, traveling to Europe. B, winning the lottery. C, skydiving. Or D, having kids. You're going to get this one wrong. I'm going to guarantee you get this one wrong.
I'm going to say winning the lottery.
Yeah. See, like 2 out of these 4 surprised me. It was traveling to Europe. That's not on a typical American.
That's not on a bucket list?
Isn't that crazy?
Because you can't have winning the lottery. It's not even attainable. Like,
but so many people play it, they think that there's a shot, right? You're not a guy that plays the lottery, right?
Man, I bet you I am.
I'm not gonna bash you playing the lottery. There's a hope to win there, but I'm not a lottery guy. So
yeah, I always complained that I never win, and then a buddy was like, you got to buy a ticket. I was like, well, yeah. I have a feeling. I have this theory that like if I won the lottery, it would like wreck my life because I would like some of the things I'm working towards would just be easy. I don't know. It just kind of takes a lot of purpose out of some things. Well, I mean, they say after you make so much money, like money doesn't necessarily bring you more happiness.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't bring me happiness at all. There's just kind of the concept of working towards something, right?
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. I'd like to try.
Yeah.
I'd like to try.
Try to win?
I'd like to try to be rich. Yeah. That'd be great. I'll give it a shot.
You keep on coming on this podcast, man. It's going to happen for you.
All right. We'll walk through the sunset together. Okay.
All right. You got to get this third one correct to pass.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Number 3, what is the most common bucket list destination? Most common bucket list destination. So I looked up a bunch of different lists and like number 1 or towards the top was one of these places. A, Grand Canyon. B, Machu Picchu. C, Buc-ee's gas station. Or D, Minnesota.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. I've been to 2 of those places. Actually, no, I've been to 3 of those places.
Buc-ee's gas station?
Yeah, that's it.
They're putting one in Colorado, man.
Really?
Yeah, I think it might already be in actually. Yeah, it's not super close to me, but it's definitely worth visiting. I've heard they're just epic.
I don't know the significance of Buc-ee's gas station. Okay.
You don't? They're just like these massive store/gas stations that have like 100 pumps. I think it started in Texas, and they're just these. I don't know. If you're a road tripper, like you just like a good gas station, this is the place to go.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say my answer is Machu Picchu because it's just exotic enough.
It is, but it is the Grand Canyon, Rob. What? So you got to try to come on one of my backpacking trips.
Man.
Yeah.
I've been to both of those.
Yeah, but the Grand
amazing.
Canyon, I think it's the #1 most visited national park, so people are actually achieving that from their list.
Yeah, but we could drive there, right? Machu Picchu, you actually got to. Well, okay, that's
you could drive.
Analysis paralysis coming back again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it?
Okay,
I don't know.
so
Like I think Machu Picchu. I think it looks super cool, but I don't feel like I have to go there.
It's cool. The coolest part is after like 5 days on trail and smelling horrible, I walk into Machu Picchu.
Right.
There's people in buses that just bust there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, hey, you smell nice.
Right. You can smell from like a little bit away.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. Actually, Derek's been there too. Derek's been in Machu Picchu.
You're forcing me to try to spend time with you. That's kind of what I'm gathering here.
Okay. It's only going to make future podcasts, and anytime I sub for you for YouTube, better.
Really? You think the first thing you would say to me when you meet me in person is like, I thought you'd be taller?
I get the opposite. I thought you were shorter. I've got that multiple times. The first thing I'd say to you would be like, Rob, bring it in, man. Bear hug coming. Big old bear hug.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
So Red River Gorge in April, Desolation in July, Trinity.
No. I'll follow up. You don't write this down. I'm going to follow up with you.
I already did.
Okay. All right. Before we go on to the tidbit section, I have to point out that before we started recording, I asked Rob about a shirt, like, because I can only see the top part. It looks like somebody's head. And he's like, "Do you know who this is?" And he for those that are listening, he shows the full face of DB Cooper. For those of you who know who that is, the guy that like jumped out of the airplane stealing cash. That dude, like, he just has a shirt with the guy's face on. I just thought it was hilarious.
That's right.
So,
what's your best DB Cooper story? Oh, wait, there's only one.
There's only one. But we'll do a DB Cooper episode. I told Rob we'll do that in the future. So next time he subs in here. But all right. So it's time. Our only tidbit I got is your announcement. What's your YouTube announcement aside from having me on your channel more frequently?
Okay. All right. So here it is. This has happened fairly quickly, and it's going to be a big change in my life. So those of you who do follow me, if you don't, start. I am actually uprooting and going to be traveling the U.S. all of next year.
Like on the road?
On the road. So I will be coming probably somewhere near you, and I'm going to be looking for really cool places to go backpacking with and cool people to go backpacking with as well. I will list my itineraries and where I'm going, and then hopefully it's somewhere where we can meet up. Now, why am I doing this?
Because it's awesome.
I got hired as a traveling team member for the nonprofit Leave No Trace.
Wow.
They have traveling teams that literally Subaru sponsors this. They give us a Subaru Outback. They put a rooftop tent on it, and they give you everything you need. And you travel the whole country for 11 months, going to different states and hosting workshops and classes. And there's volunteer opportunities just to help people who are enjoying the outdoors, which, as you know, there's a lot more now. It's to basically leave it better than what you found it. And there's a lot of principles involved. So if you don't know about Leave No Trace, you can hop on to leavenotrace.org. But that's what I'm doing. It's a highly coveted position. I applied kind of jokingly. And me and my partner, we got hired as a team because they're looking for teams.
Okay.
So yeah, we both pack up, and we'll be flying to Denver next month.
To start?
Okay. Yep. So yeah.
Wow, man. All right. Well, you were in Colorado last summer. I tried to reach out to you to connect, and you sidestepped me. Are we going to connect next month?
It would be cool. I mean, I'm flying into Denver. Then
that's a no. That's a no right there.
Well, how far is Boulder from you?
Boulder from Denver or from me?
From you. I don't know where you are.
It's an hour.
Oh, well, yeah, that could be easily done, man.
We'll do an in-person recording of an episode. You could even tie it into your Leave No Trace if they're looking for you to get content out there, if you want to pump up your stuff.
Well, I know, like, for my personal content, it's not going to involve Leave No Trace directly. I can't use Leave No Trace to, up my platform. I will be producing content for them and their platforms. My stuff my YouTube will kind of change a little bit. It'll be a lot of life on the road, and also the places that I get to visit while I'm on the road. Like, hey, I need to be in Utah in 4 days. Okay, between now and then, where can I stop to backpack? Where can I stop to explore? And who can I meet there, to go with me?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I would love to do that for sure.
Yeah. Whose house can I crash to use their shower and washing machine and internet?
Right.
These kinds of things. So this is the first time I'm announcing it. I haven't made an announcement on my YouTube channel yet. Okay. Family's on board. A lot of good support system here for me and my partner. But it's a big change, and
it's a massive change.
And I'm going to be driving around the country. So
okay, well, I'm excited for you, man. If you want to do an episode called like how DB Cooper failed to leave no trace, we could do that and tie all that together. But yeah, I understand that it's kind of separate, specific content for what they're asking for.
Right.
But dude, that is amazing. I'm actually jealous of that opportunity. And yeah, so can you describe, are you putting out your itinerary like on some sort of website? Is it going to be just on YouTube somewhere, or how can we find this so we can find you?
That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. I'm not sure if I'll put it on. I do have a website that I haven't posted on, or will I just post it on my Patreon? I do have a Patreon. I haven't used it. I may post it on there. I may start a Facebook group. I may even start something called Gift a Room, where I say, hey, I'm going to be in Lubbock, Texas, and someone can go, hey, I'll buy you a hotel room there. Maybe I'll start one of those too.
All right.
But yeah, so it's just an opportunity to be on the road, and like I said, we're going to be on the road. We're going to be camping up to 200 nights a year.
That's
right?
Amazing.
So it's a crazy opportunity that they liked my content and outdoor background, and they liked my girlfriend's education background, and it worked.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be crazy and awesome. I'm excited, but I still don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing because I haven't been on it yet. So,
that's the exciting part, is the unknown. But yeah, I hope that I'm actually really curious now that you're talking about 200 nights outside. I hope you put a lot of gear to the test. I want to see what holds, like stands the test of time.
Me too. Okay. I'm very, very curious. And they said that, I could do podcast as a Leave No Trace representative. It's just something I would have to approve. Then we can talk about Leave No Trace at that point. You know what I mean? So
gotcha.
So there you go.
I'm happy to support you anyway. Even if we do a separate podcast for them, whatever you need, man, I'm here for you.
Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate your followers too. So yeah, so you can follow me, on Instagram. You can follow me obviously on YouTube. I'll be posting some stuff there. And I think the easiest way, I don't know if it'll be through a Facebook group or through a Patreon. I don't know how Patreon works very well. Maybe you have to give me some clues on that. But
I think it just depends on how much traffic you anticipate. So you're saying, I'm going to be in Boulder. Do you anticipate getting hit up a lot by people that live in and near the Boulder area to go do some hiking and backpacking stuff? You may not know, right? Like, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either. It'd be awesome if there were,
right.
But I know there's people in Colorado that watch me. I know there's people in Utah. So
you're all over the place, man. You're popular.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So when I go to, Scotland, if you're in Scotland, gift the room.
We'll put both your social and your YouTube down in the show description. And then and you know what? Whether you're on the show between now and when you start or not, just shoot us an update and I'll throw that out to everybody out there so people can, if they want to connect with you, they can. Maybe they'll connect with you on, the Red River Gorge Patreon trip or something else. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I'm excited to start a new chapter.
I'm excited for you, man. So
I appreciate that.
Rob, you're pinch hitting for Derek. Just all of a sudden, it's been a blessing. We so appreciate you. You're my go-to guy anytime, we need a guest host, and I'm going to continue to lean on you because you're just a lot of fun to talk to. And that's all we got for this week. We're going to be back. We got some guests coming up to kick off January. We got Dixie and Jeff Garmar coming up in the upcoming weeks. And thank you, everybody, for checking. We hope you had a great Christmas. Happy New Year. God bless you.
Be safe out there.